Awesome.
All right. 1, 2, 3. All right. Welcome, everybody, from Behind Civilian Lines. I'm Bobby Stegall, and I'm joined today with Tyler Reiser on the second season of the Blue Falcon podcast and the first episode of a video, episode. So Tyler Reiser is a 6-year veteran of the United States Air Force and also a fellow EOD technician. Since returning stateside, he's had a lot of awesome experiences he'll share with us today. And his inspiration is to get ahead of the curve and help the next generation of veterans that want to become entrepreneurs and intrapreneurs. He hopes to make himself a valuable resource and expert in helping veterans transition out of the military into the private sector successfully. He's an awesome author. I've read his book. It's must get today. No ifs, ands, and buts about it. Welcome to the episode, Tyler Reiser.
Thanks a lot, Bobby. Appreciate it. Happy to be here.
Yeah, this is awesome. So one of the big things that you contributed, from what I can see so far, is the veteran community on LinkedIn. And that's actually how we reached out. If you don't mind, dive into how you've been using LinkedIn since your transition.
Yeah, that's such a great question. And, thanks again for, just having me on and having this conversation. Super excited about it. But yeah, LinkedIn, it's when I first started using LinkedIn, really was just a couple of years ago. I probably had a time, I used to work in Intel, so you get worried about all these things where, I don't want to spread out my information and all this stuff. So,
Yeah,
but yeah, so I didn't use it for a long time because I really thought it was just, a place to house your resume. And I didn't really see that much advantage to it. I had the jobs I wanted, or I was where I kind of wanted to be. But what I've learned since then is that, this is an amazing tool. It's not social media like Facebook is or something like that. It's a tool. And what's really exciting about it is it lets you actually search a database. And not many things do. So you can, if you learn Boolean logic, you can jump on there, you can find anybody you want to find. And the way I use it, I assume not everybody's going to connect with me, but there are enough of the right people that I want to connect with that the right types of people will. Mm-hmm. So the way I utilize it is I'll search for the types of people I want to find, and then I'll start connecting with those people and see who's going to respond back to me and who's actually wanting to collaborate, wanting to talk about the things that I want to talk about. And that's kind of the way I use it. So more, not so much for social media, but more as a tool. And how do I get the message out that I want to get out? And how do I find the people that are trying to do similar things that I'm trying to do?
That's awesome. Excuse me. I think, so I'm in the finance industry, and a lot of it is, of course, sales. And if you have had any run-ins with people on LinkedIn, I imagine about half of them are trying to sell you something. And
I've gone down that route myself. I actually started using it because, I too worked in finance and I ran out of people to call. So I started cold messaging all these people. And what I really found on that is, you have a 1% success rate at probably not even that. It's 1 in 1,000. And it's I think it's better to build meaningful relationships versus just trying to, get out there and make a sale.
Exactly.
I think I hear like it takes 15 times talking to somebody or, interacting with them in some way anyways before you could ever make a sale. But if you're coming from that aspect, you're probably shooting yourself in the foot anyways.
Yeah. If you're to me, in my experience in this industry, if your goal with any relationship with anybody you talk to is to sell them something, you've already lost. Like you can't approach things like that. And you can't approach life like that. And I don't think you can actually teach sales to people. I know that there's a lot of sales seminars. I mean, you can teach people how to, mass produce an email, and that's easy to do. But are those going to be the relationships that are going to be, bountiful and plentiful in a two-way street 5 years down the road? I sincerely doubt that. And that's why I was so inspired by you, honestly, is when you reached out to me on LinkedIn. I saw that you weren't, you wanted to come on the podcast and contribute to what I was doing. I could tell that was your goal. And I was like, okay, I'll check out his book. And I read the book and I'm thinking, man, this guy's coming on my podcast. All right, awesome. This guy's awesome. So I got really excited.
Well, it's great. I'm excited to be here. And it's when I started viewing LinkedIn actually from a point of collaboration versus, a win-win versus looking for something that's just a me winning. And, I hope this transactional thing works out, then, that really changed things. And I think, you probably learned this in the military, but when you do things together with other people, that's really what builds bonds, right? You can go out and network and do all these different things, but unless you're actually doing something with those people and engaging with them on a level that is collaborative in nature, I don't think you're really building relationships. We're going to have a stronger relationship just from doing this podcast.
Oh, for sure.
And that'll develop, and we'll remember each other a year down the road. If I just tried to sell you something or you try to sell me something, that's probably wouldn't be the case.
Even though
a year from now, you'd be like, I don't know who that guy is.
Yeah. He might have linked me one time. I'm not really sure, but yeah.
Right.
Well, let's dive more into you, Tyler. Let's start with your experience in the military. Fellow EOD veteran, but you have an extraordinary experiences overseas where I did not. If you don't mind, kind of dive into and maybe kind of relate to some of the veterans who are listening to those experiences overseas and what you've learned from it and what you've taken to it to this day.
Yeah, I think this is such an important thing for veterans to really think about themselves as well, because a lot of times we get out of the military, and I know I did. I got out of the military and I was like, okay, I want to leave that world behind me,
Yep.
and never think about that world again, move on to this new world. But if you can think back about those experiences we have, and I'll maybe get into a couple examples and maybe give some examples from, some of the veterans that I interviewed for my book as well. Mm-hmm. It's really powerful to think back to what you've done, and not just things as like, I was a bomb tech, but what skills were involved in being a bomb tech. There's so many command and control. You've got to have attention to detail. There's all these different pieces that go into that. There's leadership, mm-hmm. and really thinking back to those events that I went through and the things that I've done has made me the person I am today. And I try to bring those with me. So, in thinking back to what we've done, we can bring those skills forward and apply them to today. So I know that's not really a question you're asking, but I think it's an important.
You're giving a summary.
Yeah, I think that's important for veterans to realize, because I think so many of us just try to leave that behind and move on to the next thing. But realizing that those are the things that built us into who we are is super important. Yep. But let's see, what type of story do you want to hear about? Anything?
One that my parents can listen to. If you don't mind.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's say.
So I've got one for you. Just because it's pretty fun. Everybody survived. Everybody's fine. So that's pretty fun in that way. So we were. I don't know if you've heard of Korengal Valley at all.
I heard of it. Yes.
Yeah, it's Restrepo. That's the whole valley that was built off of. But that area, it's in the Army's genius, they went in and built a FOB.
It's oxymoron for people,
right? So they went and built a base up in the top of this steep valley that it's. You're driving up this road, and have you ever seen Ice Road Truckers India?
No, I didn't know there's such a thing, but I can imagine how crazy it is. I didn't know you're going to add India to the end of that.
I would have, if I hadn't seen it myself, I would have never thought about it. But as soon as I saw parts of that show, I was like, wow, that's like Afghanistan.
Okay.
But so if you can imagine that, we're in at this point we're in MRAP, so the big armored vehicles, they're probably 10, 15 feet tall,
right?
A little bit wider than a normal vehicle, maybe as wide as a semi, something like that.
Okay.
And we're driving up this road, and the road is as wide as our truck.
That's convenient.
Very convenient. So as you're going up this road, there's nowhere, you can't go to the right anymore. Right? It's a cliff on one, or it's a sheer rock wall on one side, or if there's any room, it goes up quite steep. So as soon as you move to the right to actually drive on it, your vehicle starts to tilt.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So as this thing is tilting, if you're the driver, what you get to see is out your little small window, you get to look out and you can't see the ground right next to you. All you get to see is this 300 meters straight down cliff to your left.
Yeah.
And if you're the gunner, you get the the pleasant duty of, depending on where you are on the road, looking over the side to see how much room you have. So maybe it's like an inch, maybe it's
teamwork,
2 inches.
Teamwork
right?
at its finest.
I remember telling our driver one day, I was like, hey man, you got plenty of room over here. It's like 4 inches to the edge, man. You can come over like 2-3 inches at least,
That is wild, man.
It was crazy. So we're just driving up this road, and we get up there. We get almost all the way up to the Korengal. So we're excited. Nothing's going on. We're like, hey, this is going to be only a 12-hour day. If anything goes wrong, it's probably going to be a 24-hour day. So So we're pretty excited about it. And we get up there, and we're almost to the top. IED detonates.
Oh no!
And we're like, oh man. Fortunately, the lead vehicle, they were totally fine. The vehicle is just basically made to be blown up. This is his 3rd time, I think, getting blown up, something like that. So he's excited. He's like, man, let's go find these guys. We're like, come on, man, you just got blown up. Let's chill out.
Yeah, take a chill pill.
Right.
What happened here?
Exactly. But now we're sitting up there. We've got this vehicle that's got no wheels, no axles. It's basically looks like the bottom of it's like a plow.
Right.
So we're like, how are we going to get this thing off the mountain? And we're just trying to figure it out. We're like, as the military is, you're always put in these situations, these circumstances where there's no rule book for it. You didn't train for that specific scenario, but you got to figure it out.
Yep.
Right. And so what we did, everybody comes together, comes up with a plan, and they decide we're going to drag it out. Right. You can't get a wrecker up there. They're like, no way you're getting a helicopter. It's not coming in. And they're like, just drag it out. But the problem is the road's winding. So as soon as we try to drag it, it's going to just like pull it off the road, and whoever's connected to it I don't want to be in that truck.
Yeah.
I would think so. It's like 300 meters straight down. Right. So eventually what we end up doing, this is after like 6-7 hours. So it's dark by now. Right. Everybody's blackout. We're wearing MVGs. And we're just trying to figure this thing out. We've got cars lined up for a mile because they're just trying to get up there because they can't get past us, right?
Right. Yeah. No, there's no going around.
There's no going around. No, there's
no detour.
One way up. Right. There's a couple spots where you can get around, right, if you have to, but not many. And we get up there, and eventually they're like, let's blow this thing up off the mountain. And I'm like,
see that coming.
Yeah, let's do that.
Definitely do that.
I'm down. So we're the only ones with explosives. So we're like, let's do this thing. So we set up our explosives. And we're like, okay, we got one shot at this, and we don't have a ton of explosives. So we're like, we can't use it all just in case we have to work, and we go set this thing up. Have to walk down to like one of the lead cars out there in NVGs. So you imagine this guy, he's been sitting there for 4 hours.
Oh yeah.
And all of a sudden pitch black, right? So that you can't see anything. He can't see me. And all of a sudden I knock on his window.
Oh my
and
gosh.
And you see him just like, oh, whoa, what was this guy?
Yeah.
So now I'm
trying to wear an NVG too. So just so everyone realizes it's like an alien walking up to you and knocking on the window.
Oh yeah. And so this dude's kind of freaked out, but I'm like, it's okay. And we don't have an interpreter either. So I'm like, how do I tell this guy he needs to back up because he's too close, right? And so I know like one word in Pashto, which is the language they speak in this particular area. And the only word is go, and that's za, right? I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, but that's the only word I know. I'm like, okay. I point to him, I say, you, za, me, boom, you, za. And he goes, okay. And he figures it out, right?
Perfect.
Couldn't believe it. So he backs up. We crank this thing off. You see it go flying up in the air, and it lands like a foot from the edge. And we're like, no. Fortunately, it was enough we could get all the vehicles past it. and we were able to, push through, get everybody by, get all the other cars by, and, got back to base, no problem. Nobody hurt. So long day, kind of a pain, but in the end, had a lot of fun, and it was a good time.
Yeah, it seems like that was a lot of people were probably waiting, thinking like, what's taking so long, right? And then all of a sudden they see this, I guess MRAP. It was an MRAP, right?
Yeah, it was a Husky.
Husky, okay. So just almost fly off the side of the mountain. That's pretty. Like, oh, that's what takes so long. Yeah.
Why were they waiting so long? Really, we were waiting on approval. Like 5
approval.
Hours.
Oh, okay. Oh no.
But that's how it goes, right? So it's just like deal with it, and hey, on to the next mission.
That's great. All right. Well, I guess let's break down from that discussion. That's Roy. Thank you for sharing. That's awesome. I read in your book how every year approximately $200,000. My bad. I've been doing numbers all day. 200,000 people.
Yeah,
military members transition into civilian life, and that's a larger number.
That's over the next I think that's over the next 6-8 years.
Right.
Between 200 250,000. Yeah.
Right. So
per year.
Per year, right? So that's I think you put here 3.4 million people by 2020 post 9/11. So on that note, what is one of the biggest things you think that they could take away from your book?
It probably depends. I think you can, the books about entrepreneurship and the transition into entrepreneurship. I've been a kind of, serial entrepreneur my whole life, and just love it. But I think anybody really can take some valuable lessons. Whether you can be an entrepreneur from within a company. They just called it an intrapreneur, right?
Right.
And
that's really clever. I like it. It's true though.
I didn't come up with it.
Dang it! I was gonna give you credit for that. Yeah.
No, I wish I had. But I really think probably the last chapter is probably I don't know if you made it that far.
I haven't made it that far. No.
Okay. Well, the last chapter, it's probably the shortest chapter too. So if all else fails, just read the last chapter if you can't make it through a whole book. But it's a pretty easy read. But yeah, I would say the last chapter is about ACT, and that's such an important thing. People have ideas all the time, and they say one day I'm going to do this, one day I'm going to do that.
Right.
And what's stopping you? What's preventing you? And it's really just ACT, and whether you know what you're going to do or not, you're going to figure out a lot of those things as you go. Whatever plan you came up with, if we would have tried to come up with a plan at the bottom of the Korengal, this is how we're going to, of course, there's a plan of what we're going to do on the mission.
Right, of course.
But if we had said, this is how the mission is going to go, and this is what we're going to do every step of the way. Well, as Mike Tyson says, everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the face. and that's such a, it's so true in life, it's, if we would have tried to just follow some set plan, as soon as something that we weren't expecting comes up, we wouldn't be able to handle it. And the whole plan falls apart. So you got to come back together and plan again,
Right.
Plan for the information you have now. And as new information becomes available, plan from that point forward. And that's what people will find with any endeavor, anything they try to do that's challenging, that's hard, that requires a lot of effort. You don't have the answers in the beginning.
No,
so
definitely not.
You need to act. And, I think Jocko Willink said it best when he said, how do you step into bravery? You step. That's it.
Yeah. In discussion. Yeah.
Just go do it. Just go start. And if you go start, then you're going to learn some things, and you're going to test yourself, and it's going to suck, and you're going to be really bad at it.
What's the phrase? Embrace the suck.
Embrace the suck.
Embrace the suck. Yeah.
You've got to. Yeah. Embrace the suck. And you've got to do that. And, the military, as a veteran, as a civilian, as whoever you are, whatever it is, it's going to suck. Take that step. It'll get easier. You're going to learn more. You're going to get better at it. And over time, if you keep taking a step, I like to think of in my life, like, how do I achieve a really complex task that takes a long time? like writing a book, right? It takes
I don't know how in the world you did this in like how long? Take a year and a half?
It took a year. Yeah,
Man.
probably 10 hours a week for a year.
I can't imagine, dude. This is amazing feat to me.
But what do? You interview somebody and you write a story and it sucks, right? and then you edit it and it sucks.
Dude, the first episode
your editor's
of the
like, it
podcast, like the first episode I have, you can't find it because it was that bad. I was like, you know what? I'm going to put it out there. I'll put it out there. Everyone's like, yeah. They're like, that was great. And I'm like, okay, so I should leave it. They're like, no, you should probably
just take that.
But your second episode's great. Yeah. Like, okay.
Exactly. And as you keep going, absolutely. So as you do that, you get better and you keep getting better, and don't focus on I've got to win the race. I need to write a book. No, I've got to schedule an interview. Let me go take that step. I've got to write a story. Let me take that step. Okay, let me cut out all the crap from that story. That's a step. Let me rewrite that story and rewrite it again and again. That's each one of those are steps. Yeah. So when you find yourself like, oh man, I don't know what to do, just go take a step. Just go take a step in that direction. If you take a step every day in the direction of one of your goals, that adds up in a year.
It does. Yeah, and time flies. I mean, I cannot believe I've been out for nearly 2 years now. Like it's incredible to me. Back to some of the notes I have in our book. So I've read 2/3 so far of your book, and as you saw, my notes are very lengthy because there's so much information in this book, and I guess it relates to a lot of things that I've been going through as an entrepreneur. And I really respect you for being able to self-reflect and be able to say the things that are literally in my mind that I haven't been able to put on paper. So I really do appreciate that. One of the things I saw in here is you give advice at the end of some of the chapters of things you should do. And one I really liked was, identify 2 skills you will train with as much as intensity as the military. Write down a time when life is chaotic and when you were able to keep your cool. That's one of the things that I'm trying to do. Some of the notes you've had at the end of the chapters. So on that note, what was your answer to a down time in your life when it was chaotic and you were able to keep it cool?
Well,
I'm sure there's quite a few.
That's a good question, and
you're the one who came up with it.
I know, but there's so many, right? It's right, hard. Yeah. It's hard to choose.
One example.
So I'm not going to give a military example because that's great. There are too many of those. So let me go into transition a little bit.
Okay.
Right. So let's say, and this is really just a couple months ago. So I'm a serial entrepreneur, but that doesn't always mean I can be an entrepreneur. I can be an entrepreneur, but I don't have to be running my own business all the time to still be an entrepreneur. But when I realized that, hey, I need to step back for a second, and I need to rethink the next couple of years, the next 2-3 years, to position myself properly to really start a serious business, right? Sure. And the chaos of that was really, now I've got to go out. I haven't really had a job since May 5th, 2013, right? Up to 2 months ago. Not a real job anyways. I was always, I was traveling for a couple of years and doing things here and there, started a couple small companies, nothing like a true company, but just kind of hobby companies in my
Excuse me, I saw that in your book. You were calling them hobby.
There's a couple different types. You can income replacement. You've got hobby style businesses, and then you have true entrepreneurship. That's like trying to build a Facebook or trying to build something that's
all out.
Lasting value. Exactly. And the way you build those businesses are going to be totally different. So you really have to be, if you want to build a serious business, you have to be pretty prepared for it. And I had to, swallow my pride and say, okay, I've been living in DC for 3 years. I'm making okay money, but it's just paying the bills. Right. I need to go back and I need to go find myself a job, even though it sucks, and spend the time doing that. And it was a really chaotic time for me. It really, was challenging to my ego. It was challenging to really look at, am I giving up on my dream type of thing? Right.
Yeah. Because once you started thinking about your dream, it's hard to let go of it or put it on pause.
And I don't even view it that way, but yeah, it seems that way.
It seems that way. I'm sorry. Yeah. It seems that way.
Yeah, no. And that's totally true. But this is just positioning. Right. And I realized I need, actually, from writing the book, I'm like, I need skills I don't have. I need to go find the people and go work with the people that have those skills. So I wanted to get into management consulting.
Right.
But I have no experience in
that. Yeah. I mean,
so how do you go about that? So how chaotic is this when you have to go completely change what you're doing and then go try to get into something that you don't even feel qualified for? And it's like, who in the right mind is going to hire me?
Yeah. I mean, you feel like you'd have to have experience as a management consultant to be a management consultant business.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. You would think you'd have to have experience in management consulting to get into management consulting, but the truth is you really don't. Right.
Okay. Fair enough.
Being a veteran has trained, the military trained you to be a management consultant.
From day one.
That's what we do every day. We solve problems. That's what management consultants do. But it was such a challenge. And I spent, 8 hours a day, 2 months, that was my job. I'm connecting with everybody I need to connect to. I'm reaching out and trying to find mentors that are in that position. I'm trying to find anybody I can talk to that's in that field. How do I create an opportunity for myself?
Right.
And there were a lot of times where I felt like, man, this sucks. I do not want to spend another day sending out another 10 resumes, changing each resume to make it align with the job. Like it's just
that's a lot of work. So much work. Yeah.
It's so much work. And every time I found myself thinking like, I'm just gonna watch a movie,
So there's so many good movies. There's so many good movies.
There's so many good movies,
Yeah, no, for sure.
And it was really just focus.
Right.
Stop, focus. What is the next step again? Maybe I said that one too soon, but
no,
really
repetition.
What action item can I take? Right? What can I do? How can I act right now that will potentially create, because it's all a numbers game, but potentially create the opportunity that I'm looking for. And I think that's probably my most recent example of that. And in the end, I got hired by an amazing veteran company, 100% veteran. They only hire veterans, and they do management consulting, and it's amazing. It's like home.
You seem happy. I mean, you obviously look happy. Yeah. Like it's great.
Absolutely, thank you.
Yeah,
it's fantastic.
Oh, hold on, you're cutting out.
Oh, we're back and forth here. All right, can you hear me okay?
I think we're good now.
Okay.
I think the internet almost broke, but we're good.
Okay, right. Good. Yeah. All right, that's cool.
Yeah. Cheers. So the biggest thing I have to I guess to reflect on myself is, being in the financial industry and having the products that I have, I'm approaching people that are already successful in their life. I find myself talking to someone who's been working like you day in, day out, 12, 14, 16-hour days for, some of them decades to build what they've built. And then I come along and ask them for some business. Of course, I built that relationship with them before or during the process. But what advice would you give to people who are in my similar shoes that come out and kind of know they're not the best at what they're doing, but they're striving to be the best?
Create wins for other people and solve problems. Make someone else's life easier. Even if you can do that in the smallest way possible, find a way, because so many people are creating problems for other people. Find a way.
Girlfriends, especially. Kidding. Kidding.
Sure, it might be. But it might be something simple. Maybe it doesn't help you at all, but maybe it makes their life just a little bit easier. And people remember that. And when you start solving one problem, they look to you to solve another problem. And once you solve that one, they look for you to start to solve another one. So,
that's great advice, actually. That's really solid.
Yeah, thanks. I look at that as how do I find, it doesn't have to be a big complex thing, but how do I create a win early? How do I make somebody's life better and create a win for them as early as possible, and just connecting them in some way to another person, or networking. That could be something. Networking. It could be, hey, I've got this problem with that, and you're like, oh yeah, of course you want to be careful not trying to, solve people's problems right away. You know what I mean? Like,
right. No, for sure.
But I'm terrible at this. I love to talk. So somebody's like, oh, hey, I've been having this problem with this. And I'm like, oh, you should just do that. But that does not work. And I have to stop myself from that all the time. So it's really listen to people, get deeper into what the problem is they're actually having, help them to identify what is the problem. That's usually half the problem, is they don't actually know what the problem is. And then help them create that solution and make their life a little bit easier.
So that goes back to, as I said, I've never been deployed, but back to the training on IEDs. It's first step is what? ID, identification, right? Identify the problem. And I think that's where a lot of people in a lot of different industries, but specifically sales, is they try to find where they can place the product versus place themselves. If I'm the biggest compliment I've gotten was from a very successful business owner here in Knoxville. And he said, Bobby, your product isn't you. You are the product. And he'll never know how much that meant to me, or maybe he will. But hearing that kind of reverberated what I've been trying to do is the simple problem solving that may not be my lane, but I know somebody in that lane.
Right.
So I completely agree.
And especially in your field, like your field sucks, man.
I love it though. I love it.
Oh no, it's great. I love it. I love it too. But it's so hard, and it's such a grind, and there's
changing.
There's a million people out there just trying to hustle people, and they don't care. So it just gives everybody a bad name, and it's so hard. But so if you can be that differentiator a little bit, just like, hey, I'm not. Maybe you'll buy something from me today. Maybe it'll be a year from now, maybe 5 years, maybe never, but if I can help you in some way today, maybe you don't even need my help. Maybe it's your friend that's going to need it. And you're going to tell them like, oh, hey, I know this guy, and you never know how the fruits are going to kind of come to fruition. But it's just, be that genuine person trying to actually help people and get out in the world and help people. I think that's beneficial.
Yeah. I watched do you know the Rubin Report? You ever watch that?
Is that? No, I don't. Maybe if
it's like a YouTube thing.
Okay, no, I don't think so then.
So we had Larry King on last night though, and
okay, does he do interviews?
He does interviews, yeah.
He's an older guy.
No, he's our age. I think so.
Okay, that's not what I'm thinking then.
But Larry King's
I'm thinking of something like 60. But
okay, yeah, different guy.
Okay.
But Larry King had a really good point, is always be yourself. And Rubin was saying, it's like, I learned from day one from you. I think he said like 10 or 15 years ago, it's like, always be yourself. And people don't think about that very much unless they're in the public eye very much. But to me, even not in the public eye, not even on TV all the time, like if you be yourself, if you're your genuine self to the same person or same people everywhere you go, I mean, it's pretty easy to live, versus hiding that other this alternate side.
Yeah, I think that's like the same idea as like not lying, right?
I mean, it's
being truthful in who you are.
It seems like an easy concept. I'm not sure why. I mean, I'm not sure why in sales it's a deceptive, like tell them this or tell them that. You can't really be like that. You can't try to provoke people to buy your product. And if you're a manager, you can't provoke people to work harder for you. You actually have to be your genuine self, and they will look up to that more then man, I read last night on LinkedIn to say this to them, and I think they're gonna react. That's not probably gonna work. But
Sure.
if you're like, hey man, I connected that to LinkedIn last night, and I'm gonna say to my company tomorrow, I read this last night, and this is why it means so much to me. I hope it means something to you. That is such a differentiator to me when it comes to being a leader or being I guess a good consultant.
Yeah, and I think it kind of aligns what you're saying with who you are, and it's really I don't know, it shows. It's so easy for people to pick out when somebody's being fake or they're not being
Right.
truthful, and even if they don't know why they're feeling something's not right, they probably pick it up. And this is why I hate the concept of like traditional sales.
Oh man, don't get me
It just
started.
makes me feel so bad, like, because I feel myself not being myself, and I'm just like, what am I doing? And I'm trying to, people are teaching you language, and I'm just like,
Oh, dude, you about to
okay,
make me throw up.
yeah, I'm like a hard charger, so I just go with it, and I'm like telling everybody and going like a mile a minute, which I do anyways, but even faster.
Yeah,
And I'm just like, man, this is nuts. I don't want to be.
it doesn't work. Well, I think it works for some people, Tyler. But it's funny. It's so funny you mentioned that. I talked with my dad and my girlfriend and other entrepreneurs about my successes, but why I failed at first. And you also say in the book somewhere, if you're going to fail, fail fast. Or one of the people you interviewed mentioned that. And
Yeah.
I read that and I was like, oh yeah, I failed like super fast, really hard. Like, the worst failure ever.
A million times.
Yeah, it was awesome. Like everyone was talking about it. Like everyone knew.
Right.
And but that was at the beginning of my career in the financial industry. And I literally, just like you said, I was a hard charger. I had people that were experienced advisors saying to me, what to say language wise. Well, what works for them might work for them. But when I have to copy it and say it, I was genuine in like me wanting to help, but the words
Mhm.
weren't genuinely mine. And
Right.
people can tell a huge difference in that. And I was like,
And
why is it
you're
not
running into
working?
the same problem with, as you're saying, not being genuine, as well as I was just reading a book the other day or listening to it. Maybe it was The Trusted Advisor, possibly.
Good.
But they were saying in this book that if you're doing that, you're thinking about yourself.
Hmm. Wow.
You're
Yeah, that
not
makes
you're
sense then.
not you're not thinking about what the other person needs. You're trying to sell them something, and
You
that's
already have the
only for
script.
you. Yeah,
If you already have the script before you walk into a discussion, you're there for you.
you're there
Period.
for you. That's it.
That's
If
it.
you already know what you're going to sell them before you get there, you're there for you. I want to make that money, get some of that financial money.
Yep. No, you're totally right. Man, that's a good way to put it. If you're already, yeah, you should be a lead sales generator. Just kidding.
God, I was so bad. Like, man,
I'm afraid of what I would say to people.
I'll give you a story. So when I was 16, when I was 16, I went to I got a job at this guy, and I was selling steak, chicken, and seafood door to door. And that
Okay.
was like, I had some fun with it, but man, is it brutal. I think I did okay because, as a 16-year-old, I was balling,
Oh man, yeah.
but
Like you made a couple of sales, you're done. You're like,
oh yeah,
"Ciao."
absolutely. It's like, oh, there's my week. Um, but just that dread of getting out there and like knocking on that next door and getting rejected, because you're going to get rejected 100 times before you get one
Oh
sale.
my gosh,
and
dude.
and it's just
Oh,
such
I
a
can't handle
brutal
that. I can't
thing.
handle that. Mm-mm.
But I don't know if you have to worry about rejection as much if you're out there for the other person, because you know how do they, you're still going to feel it, and you're still going to, especially if you're making like cold calls or something, which it works for people, but I don't want to do it anymore.
No, I don't ever.
But
I've never
it's,
done it. Never will.
oh man, especially today, nobody answers the phone, right?
Yeah, maybe
uh,
text message like, "Hey, this is that."
yeah,
But
right,
you're right.
but if you're, well, once again, you're just thinking about yourself in that, and it's, if you can get out there and just build those relationships, it's probably gonna be better off for you overall.
Okay. Well, man, I'm sorry. I was reflecting on this interview. It's a great interview so far.
Oh, hey, we can go as long as we want. And
Okay.
as I said, it's always better as you go through and edit it and get out the
Oh
crap
yeah,
first.
I'm going to tell you, there's no editing on this, so
Oh, that's fine.
It's
I don't
all
mind.
raw. Yeah,
That's cool. That's cool.
All right, so here's another note that I took from your book. Say note, a bookmark, if I may.
Sure.
He said starting a small business or challenging endeavor is no different, and the pain and suffering you will go through will be intense. The winding trail it will take to find its the winding trail you take will find its will and take a lot of time and energy. Having a mission will help you get through it. Um, to me, that was one of the more powerful statements, even though it may not resonate with a whole lot of people. But to me, the statement of having a mission will help you get through it. So for myself, I have a mission of my goal every single year since I got out of production and how many clients I want to affect their lives.
Mm-hmm.
Bart, when I read that, I was like, wow. Like during the hard times, I remembered my mission. I didn't realize it was a mission. I called it a goal.
Right.
But where did you come up with that? Like how'd that relate to you and why'd you share that?
I think it's from personal experience, like, because what do you do? It comes back to, how do you know which direction to act in if you don't have the thing you're trying to achieve? And it doesn't, I like the term, this is one that I made up. I call 1 year fuzzy goals. Cause
I like it. Okay. 1 year fuzzy.
It's like a direction. It's more, I want to move this direction, but I don't know if there's going to be a wall in my way that I need to go around. I don't know if there's going to be a wall in my way I need to go over or under or whatever it might be, but I don't know exactly the steps that are going to get me there. But I need to know kind of that, what is that end state? Where am I trying to be? What is that thing that I can achieve, that I can set my sights on for the next year? Because if it's too far out, I find it seems like it's too pie in the sky. If it's too close, either you haven't given yourself enough time to actually achieve it, or it's too easy. And it's not really.
I'm gonna make 5 phone calls today. Yeah, achieved it. Too easy.
Yeah, I mean, you can say I'm going to make 40 today, and that's a little bit harder. That's for me, anyways. But
Fair enough.
But that's gonna get old over and over. Maybe that 40 phone calls isn't the way that's actually gonna get you to the thing. Is that your goal? Why do you want to make 40 phone calls?
And that's what I'm getting to. Exactly.
You got to dive deeper into the reason for that, and you have because that's a sub-level goal that it is linked to a higher level goal. If you have you ever read Grit?
I have not heard great things about it though.
Oh yeah, Angela Ducksworth. It's amazing, and she explains this really well. And basically, the highest level goals are the things that are in and of themselves, right? So I want to make 40 calls in a day. Why? So
What's
that
the purpose?
I can get 10 clients this month. Why? So
Right.
I can earn enough money to live. Why?
Yep.
Right? Because I need to take care of my family. Why? Because I love them. Boom.
Why do you love them? Okay, just kidding.
Yeah, sure. I mean, you could say, why do you love them? But then you're going to get into characteristics or something of who they are and how they make you feel, whatever. Right. And maybe there is another higher level one there so that I can be happy.
Right. Ultimately, right. I feel like that's
and why? Why do you want to be happy? You want to be happy because you want to be happy,
Yeah.
Or because you want love. It usually comes down to a feeling or something that is a high level. And then every other goal fits within that. All your other goals better match to a higher level goal. Otherwise, why are you doing
it? 100%.
You're just wasting time if it's not pushing you towards the thing that you're trying to achieve.
Yeah, that's time management to me at that point.
Yeah, because you never have enough time, and that's the most.
No matter how much time we have,
he says.
Yeah, it's the most valuable asset.
That's it. And if you do have a lot of time, you're probably not doing anything.
Next segment, I want to ask, what is your purpose in writing the book?
So this one is a bit selfish, I think, okay. Which it's important to be a little bit selfish. You got to take care of number one,
No,
but really, in going through entrepreneurship, I've started random companies, everything from selling beach chairs in Mexico to, renting out underwater dive lights in Thailand, to doing financial services for small businesses in DC. And what I realized is I don't have the knowledge that I need. And who better to get the knowledge from than people that have done it?
Right.
So in the same way you can do a podcast, writing a book is very similar, right? Where you get to go out and do interviews, you get to meet people. When you're able to say like, hey, I want to interview you for my book, people respond more than just like, hey,
right.
You want to have a phone call? So it's a great tool to be able to go out, meet people that you wouldn't be able to meet, learn things that you wouldn't normally be able to learn. And it was really like a rapid learning process, like almost like doing like a mini MBA, because then I had to take all that information, synthesize it. I had to go do research that I had not done before because they're talking about stuff I've never learned.
Right.
So I was able to go out and do research on those topics and say, okay, cool. This is the stuff these 15 people think are important. Let me go research those things and find out the real science behind it, find out the real, why that stuff's important. Why is culture important? Why is leadership important? Why is planning important? What types of planning are there? How do you develop a business model? And just how do you put these pieces together that are important to the other business owners? And by the time you talk to 10, 15 of them, they start to repeat themselves quite a bit. And really those became the chapters of the book.
Well, how many people did you interview for this book?
I don't know the exact number, to be honest. It's somewhere between 10 and 15, probably 12, 13.
Yeah, you definitely have some huge names in here.
It's so much fun. Oh, and there's such great people, like meeting characters like TMR, TMR, the Marine rapper. He just released a new album.
Okay.
He is awesome. You got to look him up, man. Okay. He is so cool. Like he's way cooler than you and I.
Man, that's easy to do for me. I don't know about you.
But he just released an album. He realized that veterans were being underrepresented in the music industry. So what did he do? He started a record label and brought only veteran musicians and created an album that is multi-genre album, solely veteran, and it's awesome. Gosh. You gotta look it up. It just released last Veterans Day.
Okay. Wow, that's pretty cool.
He just did. Have you seen those like trimmer things? What is it called? Like the Manscaped.
Yeah.
There's a million ads for him. I think they hired him to do a music video.
No way.
Yeah. So he's got a whole song on just that.
Of course, but a military guy who does a video for that.
Oh man, he's so good, and that's like part of his business. He goes out and a company can hire him. He'll write a rap for their company, and they're so good. Like it is so good. And other people, like Donnie O'Malley, the CEO of VetTV, Mark Rockefeller. He started. Oh man, now I'm going to blank on the name of it. It's
I have it in my notes somewhere.
Yeah. So what he does is they do lending to veterans. So and then they take that and they chop it up and sell it on the open market. And I don't know if they sell it on the open market or if they sell bonds, but basically they lend out money and also have investment vehicles. Street shares, that's the name of it.
Yep, street shares.
But yeah, just fantastic people. Most of them, what I found was they tapped into the veteran community, and that's part of the reason they're really successful. TMR, he is doing music that are only veterans are on his album.
Well, it's funny.
Donnie O'Malley.
Go ahead. I was saying I actually need some music for my podcast at the end. Like I like to sponsor or, play for free, like a song from somebody I like. So maybe we can reach out to TMR and see if we can get him to let us play a song at the end of his podcast. That'd be great for him. And, I'd love to help him out in that way. So again, veterans helping veterans. Like
that's it. And that's what I didn't get when I got out of the military. Right. So I wanted to, it was military, and then I did contracting for another 4 years. Right. So it's like, take off my new uniform, put on a suit, and now I'm back doing the same
thing.
Almost the same stuff, same kind of genre, different work. Right.
Right.
But still like working with the same people. My buddies from EOD were working next to me, deploying, going back to Afghan, did another like two years and some months in Afghan after that as a civilian.
Good grief.
So doing a lot of the same stuff, going to the same places with the same people. And then after a while, you just get so sick of just being in that atmosphere. So you get out and you want to just completely break free. But what you lose when you do that is your entire network.
Yeah, I read that in here.
And what we fail to realize, which I write about in the book, is you haven't lost your network. You've gained the veteran network. And even the people in the military have the veteran network.
Yep.
And you've got to tap into that, because the shared experiences we have are incredible, and nobody really understands us like we do.
Yep.
It's lonely out in the world if you isolate yourself from veterans.
Yep. And I find like even civilians, that they can reach back to plenty of networks themselves. Like, where'd you go to high school at? Reach out to those people. Where'd you go to college at? If you went to college, reach out to those people. Even using LinkedIn for the company you work for. Like the opportunities you have is not solely, veteran related to me.
Right.
There's plenty of networks for people who are civilians that can tap into. But of course, the Blue Falcon podcast is designated towards veterans, so that's what we preach on. But that's even a veteran helping out somebody who's not a veteran and teaching them the ways to network is valuable to me. Like, I personally think your book is valuable to civilians, just from the people you interview and their mentality. There's no substitute for great leadership. Period.
Absolutely, and it's. I mean, there are definitely great leaders in the world that are civilians,
right.
But they're not going to understand, what you've gone through. They're not going to understand that, we all hear it. Thank you for your service, right? And we all laugh when you hear it, because we're
I just laughed. Yeah.
We're like, okay, yeah, cool, awesome.
Thanks for your support.
Yeah, appreciate you. Cool. Obviously, don't like shun them or something.
Oh no, yeah,
they're trying to like give you a compliment, but we hear it so often. It's just kind of like, thank you for your service, goodbye, whatever.
Right.
But if you actually ask them to support you in some way, they probably won't, because they don't know who you are. They don't know the world you come from. No. Doug Doan speaks about this. He is maybe general partner of Hivers and Strivers. So they only invest in veteran companies.
Wow.
And he said, he was out in Silicon Valley talking to some of the investors, and they're like, you know what the problem is with the veteran community is we don't know you. When I go to Stanford, I went to Stanford. I know who the people are that are at Stanford. Just like we know the people in the military, right?
Right.
Somebody tries to BS us, and you've been in the military, you know it immediately. Somebody that's never been in the military tries to BS you on it, you know it immediately.
Right.
And that's the difference, right? It's that comfort in knowing where the other person comes from, having that shared experience, even though you weren't there. And a lot of those people, well, you could still get funding, from those different groups, but likely they're going to look at who are the people I know, because that's low risk. It's lower risk than trying to figure out what this other world is completely.
Yeah. Well, did you find in your military experience that there were people who strived more than others?
Yeah, absolutely. As Donnie O'Malley said, the military is a microcosm of America. It's
that's one of my notes. Yeah, that's perfect.
It's such a good quote. I mean, he's crazy anyways, but he's amazing in that sense. I don't know if you've watched any of his stuff, but he's
I've watched some of it.
He's off the rails, you know. Right. But yeah, there's everything from the cook to the, you know, Navy SEAL, Army Ranger, or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
It's just who tried harder. You know, everybody had the opportunity to go into special forces. Some chose to do it. Some chose not to. You know, I chose not to. Actually, I tried to go into SEER, but they told me, "Oh, you're EOD, so you can't." Basic training. So happy I didn't. Nothing against the SEER guys. They're awesome. They're hard chargers. They're way more badass than I'll ever be. But you know, I just don't like to run that much. So,
oh man, you and me both. Yeah, fan of running, not me. No.
Yeah, but do they try harder? Yeah, there's tons of people. You know, getting through certain schools is really hard. Getting through, you know, EOD school. You went through EOD school,
right?
It's tough.
Probably a 80% attrition rate at the end of the day.
Yeah,
you know, between 60 and 80.
And we all went through back when it was hard. So
it was when I went through, it was
what year did you go through?
2013. So it was
so you're 10 years after me.
Yes, yeah. And in between you and I, there was a lot more leniency. By the time I got in, it was more like you feel.
Yeah, I think during the surge. Yeah, I mean, because all of it relates to, in some way or another, how many of those people do they need, right? So it's going to be harder, but they still hold a standard. You know, there's still a threshold that you have to meet,
right?
To get through that, and if you're not trying, you're not going to make it.
Yeah, period. In discussion there. You know, it's more difficult than people would realize mentally.
Sure.
To be able to adapt, no matter how many what the standards were at the time. There is a standard.
Yeah, and nothing against the people that didn't choose to go that route. Like, good on them. I hope you had a great career, whatever you're doing. I hope you enjoyed it, right? I hope you got the education benefits that maybe you signed up for, because that's what got most of us. That's what I signed up to be able to, so I didn't have to come out of school with $50,000 of debt, right? And just found myself in a place where it was like totally different than I ever imagined.
Well, what was your experience? You took 2 years off, right? Or at least a year.
Little over 3.
Oh wow, 3 years. Okay.
Yeah, it was 2013 to 2016.
All right, so tell us about this Guinness Book of World Records and stuff, because I read that in your book and I was like,
oh man,
I don't know if all this is true. So
did you look it up?
No, I want you to tell about it. Come on.
No, I know. I'm saying, did you look up? Did you verify that it's true? Okay.
Yes, it is true. Yes, it is true.
It is still currently a world record. So
it is. Yeah. It's currently a world record, and
two different groups have tried to beat this, and I
didn't read that part.
Yeah, well, I don't know if it says it, but I've just seen it over time. Maybe there's been more than that, but 2 that I know of have attempted to, and weren't able to do it. Because it's a lot. We had
67 people, right?
62.
62. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, 60. So 62 people, and so I flew from Afghanistan to Thailand via Dubai.
That's crazy. Yeah.
So quit my job in May. I was like, I'm out. You know, sick of being in Afghanistan. For those that haven't gone, it's not the most, you know, glorious place. It's got some beautiful things. You know, I wish the best for the people there, really. But I wanted to go and do something for me at that point. You know, I spent 10 years in defense, and I was a bit over being a part of the machine, you know.
How old were you at that time?
I would have been, let's see, what was that? 2013. So I would have been, 27, somewhere around there. So I was in Thailand, moved to Thailand, a small island called Koh Tao.
Like you moved there,
Yeah, I jumped on a plane, just flew straight there. I was like, I'm going to go there for 3 months. Oh my God. That was my plan, was to go there for 3 months. I thought I'll go travel for a year. I didn't want to spend all my money, so I said, once I reach this threshold, I'm going to move back and go start my transition. But for those out there, if you do it right, travel only costs about $15,000 a year. So just be ready when you come back that it's going to take some money to reassimilate back into society. Right?
Yeah. I didn't plan for that either. Yeah.
Yeah. Good idea to have some money in the bank when you come back, because that's going to be hard as well. But anyways, I digress. So I go to Thailand, do a big time scuba diver. I love scuba diving. I spent over 2 weeks underwater.
That's awesome.
And I was in class to become an instructor. So I did dive master, I did rescue, dive master, and instructor all in Thailand. Big shout out to Buddha View in Koh Tao. So if you want to go dive unlimited dives indefinitely until you complete your course, you can go to Buddha View in Koh Tao, Thailand, and
we'll tag them in the podcast.
Yeah, you should. It's a good idea.
All right.
Look up Mark Sawaka. He's the legendary diver that teaches the instructors down there.
Okay, we'll tag him as well. Awesome.
But yeah, so I was down there doing my instructor course. During the dive master, they let you sit in on all the instructor courses. So I'd already listened to all of them. I already kind of got the gist of what was going on and knew the material. And I was looking at on my computer, I had a bucket list, and I was like, man, I haven't looked at this thing in years, right?
Well, when'd you make it? When'd you make your bucket list?
I don't even know. Maybe like 2005 or something. You know?
Man, we were kids. We were kids, man. Like 18, 19 years old.
I know. Yeah, I just, one day people were like, oh, you need to make a bucket list. And one day I did it.
Okay.
And
so make a bucket list, people.
Everybody make a bucket list. You should. And I should do it again. Heed my own advice. I'll write it down.
Right there, go ahead. But
put it in the show notes afterwards, and I will make sure that we all do it. Maybe we'll post our top 10.
Actually, that's a really good idea.
So I was going through this course, and I'm like, I see on my bucket list, break a world record. And I was like, that would be sick. And I'm like, what? I'm like scuba diving. I'm on a scuba dive island. What could I break a world record in? I was like, okay, something scuba diving maybe. And I look up scuba diving world records. And it's like world's longest dive. And it's like 2 days or something.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know how long it is, but it's so long. And I'm like, okay, no, I don't want to dive.
That's a long
And I was
time.
like, I just came from Afghan. I don't want to die. I think it's like July at this point or something, or August maybe. So I've been there like three months or so. And then I'm like, okay, and I see deepest dive. I'm like, okay, don't want to die. And it's pretty shallow in Thailand. Unless you dig a big hole, you're never making it to the deepest dive anyways.
Okay, fair enough.
The best you can do is maybe 50 meters or something, but
that's long. That's still a long way, man.
It is, but that's not even close. The record's probably like 300 and something.
No, good grief. Yeah. Okay.
So I keep looking up these records, and I'm like, nope, don't want to die. Nope, don't want to die. Nope, not strong enough. Nope, not prepared. Right? I don't want to dedicate that much effort. So I'm just kind of looking for world records that I could potentially break. And I see this underwater pyramid from this dive school in awesome. Utila, Honduras. It's basically Koh Tao, but in Honduras. It's another island that has very similar things. And I was like, we can do that. I was like, there are enough people here. I was like, it's only this many divers. Like we can break this. Right?
Like you thought of that yourself, like as you're reading this, right?
It was like an epiphany. I saw it. Awesome. And I was like, that's it. And I just knew.
Yep.
And so I like stand up to my class. This is like right after the class is over. I'm so excited. I get excited about things like this.
Oh man, that's great.
I like stand up to my class and I'm like, who wants to break a world record?
Who's in?
And everybody's like, yeah. Right, Tyler, shut up.
Yep.
So I'm like a little bit dejected, like, oh man, I thought these people would be into this. Like they're all scuba divers, they're all instructors. There's like 10 people in our class. We're like a sixth of the way there,
Yeah, already.
And so like a week goes by, and I'm hanging out with these two guys, John and Manolo.
Yeah, heard about them.
They're my boys now, even to this day. But I move in with them. We decide to get a house together, to rent a house. So we get this awesome house, like a mansion, like $500 a month each. We're paying like double what everybody else is paying. right? Everybody else is paying like $250 a month on their place that they're staying in. And we combine forces and just get like this pad. That's just amazing.
Yeah. And in Thailand, right?
Yeah. So just absolutely gorgeous. And I bring it up to them. I'm like, guys, I think we can break this record. And they see it and they're like, yeah, we can do that.
That's awesome.
And that was it. That just got the ball rolling once I had their support, which is so important.
It is. Having one person say, you're onto something.
That's it. Well, there's a great video on YouTube called How to Start a Movement. And they talk about exactly that. And it's
the 5 messages
so good.
that we're talking about.
What's that?
I also saw the 5 messages of how to start a movement.
No, that came from Mark Rockefeller. That was that's a different type of no. So I actually I was at the military influencer conference. I'm digressing here big time, but
it's fine.
Tangent's
a military podcast.
Yeah, I was at the military influencer conference last year. Great conference. If you're a veteran, you should definitely go. If you're in the military, you should definitely go. Okay. A bunch of entrepreneurs. This is where you'll meet half the people that were in my book. That's where I interviewed TMR, the Marine rapper. But Mark Rockefeller from Street Shares, he was giving a talk about the five M's to start a movement, and it was so good. And I was like, awesome. I was just taking notes, and I ended up went home, wrote a story about it, and ended up in the book. So
perfect.
Anyways, so tell them, they're like, yeah, we can do it, and we just start going to town and just figuring it out, But by the end of it, I had spoken with, I think there were 100 dive schools on the island, somewhere there and about.
That's a lot of dive schools.
It was like knocking doors again. I was going there. I did.
Did you have reliving your moments back in high school? Like
a little bit, yeah. A little bit.
Were you doing my dive school?
Just going in there and just like pitching everybody, going to every dive school, anybody that I thought might be willing. I started on one end of the island, worked my way all the way to the other end of the island. It's a small island, but.
Still, it's wild.
But it was just, rejection after rejection after rejection after rejection. And finally, I get must have been 3/4 of the way through talking to these dive schools. And I'm like, I don't know if we're going to make this happen because we're not going to have the boats, the gear, how are we going to do this? And my buddies are like, dude, we got it. We'll figure it out. Somebody will join on. At this point, we'd already done 2 practice pyramids, I think. Maybe we'd only done the first one, but like a little bit of a movement was already starting within our own dive school. So we had, probably 30 people on board. They're like, yeah, this is getting exciting.
That's a lot, man.
It was, and it was super exciting at the time. And it really, having that mission in mind, bringing it back around to that piece.
Yeah, good point.
Of just knowing what we're like, we need boats, we need equipment, we need people. That's it. Right. Mm-hmm. And there are details here and there that you got to figure out too, but like those are the big ones. If you can check off the big ones, the small ones are generally pretty easy. And finally, we got the biggest dive school on the island. Big shout out to Vans dive school, and they were super cool. And we're demanding a lot. We're doing it for charity for coral reef conservation, which
I also
makes
saw.
it easier.
One of your boys in here is part of Blue Force, which is very important to me personally.
Oh yeah.
The conservation of the ocean, like that hit when I read that in your book. That hit me personally.
Yeah, Force Blue. Those guys are awesome.
Oh, sorry, Force Blue, not Blue Force. Force Blue. Thank you. So
I think it's Force Team Blue. They have a couple. Depending on where you look, it looks a little bit different. But yeah, that's. Those guys are so cool, and they're just rebuilding coral reefs, and super important to me as well.
So you have this charity that you're doing all this for, which is maybe another reason why people are so more supportive of this idea.
It's so much easier to sell an idea when you're like this, because here was my pitch.
Shoot,
we're gonna break the world's largest underwater human pyramid.
Time out. You already said we're gonna do something, and during this pitch, right? You already said it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Are you in or you out at this point?
Yeah. This is the first thing I said.
That's a perfect pitch.
This is what we're going to do. Do you want to be a part of it, essentially, right? But I didn't say it like that. I said, we're going to break the world's largest underwater human pyramid, Guinness World Record. I had a little binder that showed them. I said, we're not sure how many people are going to show up. So these are the possible levels that we might hit in breaking this record. What I need from you is your largest boat for a day. These are like 2-story, 50 to 75 person dive boats. So think about what these companies like. They're selling $200 dives for 60 people. That's a lot.
It's a big day. It's a big day for them.
Right. So like, we want your largest boat for a day. All the equipment that we need to support that boat if people need it. And you have to pay us $500.
When I read that in your book, I was like, "Oh, you did not do that. You did not ask for $500."
I did. Yeah. Okay. And we got two sponsors.
Oh, which no, time out. Let's dive into how you got 2 sponsors, because I think that's very essential. If I read it correctly,
it was from knocking. Yeah. Go ahead.
Looked like one of them was one of the knocking on doors, and another one was the arrival of somebody you knocked on.
No. So that I'll get to that. I think I know what you're talking about.
Okay, sorry. Okay.
So it was Bands and Buddha View. They were our sponsors, and they were 2 of the 3 biggest dive schools on the island.
Okay.
And they both gave us a boat. They were both super awesome. Gave us $500 each for coral reef conservation, which was super cool.
That's great. Yeah.
Yeah, it was fantastic. And they got to put their name on it. They had unlimited ability to record it, do whatever they want. Bands took huge advantage of that. Their pictures their logos on half of our pictures all over the place. So
and they deserve it for sure.
Absolutely, and we appreciate their support. So thank you to both of them.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they agree. So we're really excited about that, and we end up setting up this whole day where it was like, we're at a day club in the morning to do the briefing and do like a practice, kind of like a dry run, but on land. So we weren't not stacking people up in the air.
So not like, hey, you go over here.
No, it was like stacking them on the ground, like horizontally. So it was like the last, whoever would be on the bottom row was in the back.
Yeah.
Whoever's on the top.
I mean, like, you don't want to be in the water and be like, you come over here.
There's a lot of that, but it's serious and it's dangerous, right?
Yeah, it's very. And there's you had all kinds of cords, right?
Yeah, you got people with equipment, no cords, but like equipment, hoses everywhere. You got the person on the bottom. They've got 8 rows of people on top of them. They can't just like,
hey, guess I'm out. Yeah.
So we've got like safety divers in the water. We've got people that are there ready in case somebody runs out of air that they can go and give them air. I'm there watching as much as I can. Our safety divers are watching as much as they can. But yeah, it had to really be planned out. But we restricted who could participate to people that were at least a dive master in training.
Wow.
So they're all at least like about to be pro divers, which really cut down a lot of the risk.
For sure.
So we get all
maybe minimize the panic. I imagine panic is the worst case scenario. Underwater.
Yeah. That absolutely, and we wanted people that were comfortable in the water.
Yeah, that's all it is. Like I mentioned, like bomb squad, like comes to mind literally in the AOD suit.
Yeah.
Like I remember training in the bomb squad suit, and there were people that literally just freak out.
Or somebody that's like never worn a chem mask or something, a gas mask.
Yes, exactly.
It can be scary. You're restricted on how much you can breathe. If you hyperventilate, like,
it's different. It's different.
What was crazy, and I think that's what you're alluding to earlier, is not enough people showed up.
Oh shit! Yeah.
So the prior record, which wasn't technically a Guinness World Record, they didn't submit it to Guinness. There's a whole process in doing that, which is a pain. But they had 61 people, and only like 58 showed up, and we're like, wow, this sucks. like not enough people. Like, this is gonna be the thing that prevents us, and we're like 3 away, right? Or maybe it was 5 or 4. Maybe it was 5. I think it was 5 actually. But we do all the dry run, we do all the stuff, and then we're like, we don't tell anybody that the record's not actually going to be broken, right? We're just like, we're going to go through with this, and we can submit to Guinness. We're like, yeah, we'll probably get the record, because Guinness told us it only had to be like 35, and we're like, okay, that's not like the real we would feel bad if somebody had done 61 and we did 35.
Right.
But like 55 showed up. So we're like, okay, it's at least reasonable. We'll put in the extra work. We get down to the pier, and one of the instructors, Freddie, he is part of the called Team Korea. So they would work with a lot of the people that spoke Korean.
Okay. Yeah.
So
what people part, which is great.
Yeah, I mean, people like to learn diving in the language that their native language, and it's pretty important a lot of times. You can do it with somebody else, but it's it's good to know what you're hearing.
Right.
But Freddie shows up with 2 of his students, and he's like, "Hey, can we be in the record?" And this is like their first dive.
No.
And I'm thinking about it, and we're like, oh man, yeah, we could put them like on the end where there's not going to be any like people that are like restricting them, as long as Freddie's with them and he's taking care of them, that'll be okay. Because Freddie's a really experienced diver, like way more experienced than I am. And we start counting like how many people there are, plus Freddie and his 2 students. We're like, okay, and then at the end we can put these 2 people on. We're going to have enough. Yeah, awesome. You're in, Freddie.
Yeah, definitely.
We went out and built this thing. We had 2 dives planned. We crushed it on the first dive.
That's awesome.
Went perfectly. Visibility was perfect. 62 people, broke the world record by 1.
That's so awesome.
Just because that's how many people showed up. And
oh my gosh, dude.
It was so much fun though. Like it just makes me smile every time thinking about it, just because it's so ridiculous but it just shows so many of these same things that I talk about in the book, that you hear other people talk about, not giving up, keep pushing forward, getting rejection and keep going forward, and just following those same traits. I feel like I learned a lot from that, in the sense of, hey, we can't always control what's going on. We can only control what our actions are, and
right.
and try to get other people. What I learned the most out of that is you can't do it on your own. You need this group of people that will support you in it, and you need to make it as much of a win for them as it is for you, and get people behind you, get people to believe in the thing that you're doing. If you can do it on a smaller scale first, so like, oh, this is possible. Because everybody told us in the beginning, they're like, you can never do it. It won't happen. It's like, you can't get enough people.
It's silly. Yeah.
It's stupid. Everybody was telling us that for like 3 weeks. It was only 6 weeks from the time we came up with the idea to completing it.
That's impressive in and of itself. So
it moved fast, but like the first 3 weeks, everybody's like, this is not going to happen. We did a practice. We convinced 15 people to do a practice pyramid.
Did that not make you want to do it even more?
For me, just because that's kind of who I am.
Yeah.
You don't think I can do it? I'm like, you don't know what you're talking about.
Thank you so much for saying I can't do it, because now I'm definitely going to do it. I appreciate you saying I can't do it. So, no.
Absolutely. But in the end, it was a great learning experience, great experience overall, and learned so much from it. And I just, couldn't be more excited. As I was saying, like getting people on board and being able to show them that it's going to be possible through other mechanisms, or through having small wins, really. And, doing the practices, they see that worked. They're like, okay. And then doing a practice that's double that size. We did a practice that was 30 people, I think. And once that happened, and we learned so much from that, because that went totally wrong. Our first dive on that went totally wrong. Like, half the people didn't even know where the first group went. The visibility was terrible.
Okay.
But it completely changed how we actually executed on the day.
On the big one.
Yep. And that, if we had not had the other one where we had bad visibility, bad communication, we learned so much about how we need to manage that many people, that had we not done that, we would not have succeeded. And that was, I think that was our big win, is that we had already done this twice with smaller groups, but we learned so much from it. And actually we learned the most from when conditions were the worst and it all went wrong. And then when conditions were good, it was easy, knocked it out of the park. Half the people had already done it. So
that's awesome.
And the funny thing is, Buddha View and bands hated each other before this, and they became like a cohesive unit afterwards. It was so amazing.
Okay. That's great.
We used to hang out together all the time after that. It was just such a good, like, collaborative, going back to the collaborative part, the people that were a part of that remember all the people that were a part of that.
Yeah. Forever.
And it's so powerful.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a good note to end on. Tyler, I encourage everyone to learn a few things from this podcast from you. And I know I've learned a few things. For anyone listening wanting to reach out to Tyler, LinkedIn is probably the best bet to get a hold of you.
Yeah. Look up Tyler Reiser on LinkedIn. I'm sure you can put that in your show notes as well.
For sure. Yeah. And please, guys, go out and read this book. Literally, I've been out in the world for 2 years after the military, and this is by far the best book I've read yet. Whether you're civilian or veteran, you'll take something away from it. So, Tyler, thank you very much for coming on the podcast. We have to have you back.
Can we? Oh, yeah, absolutely. Happy to be on any time, but can we give them the name of the book?
No. Oh, no, for sure. They have to go figure it out.
Right. Go take some initiative, go act, go look it up, go find Tyler Reiser, be like, what book did he write?
Also called The Veteran Advantage. Wow. Thank you for, you learn something every day on the podcast. I feel really bad about that. All right. So
no worries. Don't feel bad. Don't feel bad. Yeah, go ahead.
The Veteran Advantage. Please go look up the book. Tyler Reiser, the author.
Thank you very much, Bobby. This has been a blast. Appreciate you
very much. All right, welcome to the Blue Falcon podcast. I'm Bobby Stegall, coming from behind civilian lines, and actually today, on June 1st, 2019, I'm sitting here with my beautiful niece, Miss Sweet Allison Stegall. How are you doing today, Allison? Good. Well, you sure do look pretty. Do you think everything in school is going to go well this year?
Yeah.
You think? What grade are you going to be in now?
Second.
Second grade. Okay. Well, what's going on in second grade?
There's going to be a new teacher, maybe. Because I might have Miss Spontaneous again. I'm serious.
Oh, really? You excited about that?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Well, what's your favorite thing about your teacher?
She's nice.
She's nice? Okay. Well, you're taking the world by storm. Well, it's Tornado Alley, right? That's your nickname?
No.
No, okay, all right.
Allie's my nickname.
Okay, Allie's your nickname. All right. Well, what are some of your favorite things to do when you wake up in the morning?
Watch TV.
Watch TV. Okay, what are some of your TV shows you like to watch?
Larva, and a movie that I know, but I don't remember the name.
Oh no. Okay. Well, what are some of the characters in it? Maybe we can figure it out together.
There's a mermaid.
There's a mermaid.
There's like a guy who wants to steal the mermaid, then a shark that stands up, and he goes and he hits the goofy guy, and he flies up in the air, and the goofy guy always gets hurt.
Oh man. Okay. So the goofy guy gets hurt. That's the story of my life. Am I goofy?
A little.
A little. Well, what are some other things you want to do this summer?
Go swimming, but I can't since I almost broke my bone.
I know, right? That was yesterday, right?
Yep.
First day of summer, and you dislocated your elbow. What were you thinking?
I don't know.
I don't know. What were you doing?
I was on a trampoline with Owen and Nick, and they're like, "Let's get off!" And it was raining.
Oh,
and
no.
I was gonna jump out, and instead I slipped and fell.
Oh, are you gonna do that again?
Maybe I might.
Yeah, that's definitely how life goes. You might fall again, right?
Right.
Well, what are some things you're gonna do this summer after your arm gets better?
Do some swimming, go to gymnastics, go to Lobo, go to Twilight Camp.
What's Twilight Camp?
Oh, it's a camp where you learn a lot of science.
Okay, let's talk about science a little bit. What are some projects you've worked on?
In science?
Mm-hmm.
I've worked on colors,
Okay.
And I've worked on studies.
Okay. Some like research. Man.
And I've been studying about people's bodies and bones.
Okay, what's that called? Anatomy?
Yeah.
Anatomy. Cool. Also, I heard you yesterday while we were checking out that battleship, the Texas battleship. You speak Spanish?
Sí.
See, all right. Well, give us something in Spanish for us.
Okay.
What's your favorite thing? What's one of your favorite sentences to say in Spanish? And you got to hold it right here, Allison. There you go.
Hola, mi nombre es Allison.
Oh, wow. That's pretty good. What else? What's one of the more difficult things you know how to say? What's the hardest thing you've learned how to say?
Diferente.
Diferente?
Diferente.
Whoa, you can roll those R's. All right, good job.
And the hardest one, John and Kendra, he was like,
Whoa.
I was like, how do you do that? I was like,
All right, Allison. Well, thank you very much for coming on my podcast. I sure do appreciate you doing this for me.
you're welcome.
All right, I love you. All right, cool. Well, thank you very much, everyone. Our next guest is going to be Owen Seagull. I'm going to go grab him real fast.
Okay.
Owen or Allison, do you have anything you want to say to the listeners?
No.
No. Have a great day.
Uncle Bobby,
Uh-huh.
can you put on some music on the headphones?
All right, on that note, she hates my voice and she wants to listen to music. All right, thanks, everybody. That's what we're going to leave the people with, Allison. All right, welcome back to the podcast, everybody. I had to take a quick time out here and actually exchanged kids. Now I'm sitting next to Mr. Owen Seagull. Hello, Owen.
Hi.
You want to tell everybody how old you are?
9.
9 years old. Okay. How old do you think I am?
I'd say 100.
100? You think I'm 100 years old?
Well, you look like it.
Oh, I still have some of my hair. Well, how old do you think your dad is then?
You practically have a white beard, so.
I didn't know you were going to come on the podcast to make fun of me, Owen.
And I have a suspicion that, as most old people ask, you're going to ask me about school.
No, that is incorrect. What I'm going to ask you about is what are you going to do this summer? Another general question that everyone asks you. Isn't that right?
Yeah.
All right, well, how about you ask me some questions?
Well, how old are you?
So I'm 32 years old.
Okay. But to me, you still look like
Might as well be 100, right?
Yeah.
All right, what other questions you got?
I haven't got any.
You haven't got any. All right, well, I guess I have to ask you questions now, huh?
Yeah.
All right, so I see you got your Cub Scout uniform on. What'd you do today in Cub Scouts?
Well, we went to a ceremony.
Mm-hmm. You want to, here, let me change that mic for you. There you go.
So what we did is, there's a scout.
Mm-hmm.
He's been scouting for years.
You got to talk into the mic, bud.
He earned his Eagle, which is the highest rank in Scout and Boy Scouts.
Mm-hmm.
And he also earned the rank of Quartermaster in Sea Scouts.
What's Quartermaster?
It's the well, first of all, to start with that, it's Sea Scouts is just like Boy Scouts, except you're learning about the ocean.
Oh, okay.
And every now and then they'll sail ships, explore ships, go out to the ocean for a few days every now and then.
Oh, okay. Have you been to the ocean?
Like the beach or out on the ocean?
Out on the ocean.
I've been in quite a few lakes and ponds, but never out on the ocean.
Oh, okay. Do you want to do that one day?
Probably.
Where do you want to go?
I don't know.
You know, somewhere on the ocean. You want to go on a cruise, or do you want to get on a ship and go, or what kind of ship do you want to get on?
I'd probably use just like my own ship or something.
Your own ship? You're gonna have your own ship?
I don't know.
All right, you might have to sign me up for that.
So, as I said, quartermaster is just like scouts, the highest rank you can get. So this guy, he achieved both quartermaster and an eagle.
Wow.
And so his parents, he invited 2 people from our pack, 957, to go. Me and my friend Nicholas were chosen to go.
And that was today, right?
Yeah, a few hours ago. So we went there, and we were told to pass out flyers at the door. And as we did that, we practically starved to death.
Oh no! So you're hungry the whole time.
Yeah, and there's just like nice big cake like
That you can't eat?
just beyond the entrance.
Oh no!
Practically right behind us. It was torture.
I bet it was torture.
And then there's this ice bin full of root beer and water. It was just
all the good things.
Yeah, it was torture.
Well, how'd you make it?
Well, the last people finally got in, so we got
Okay.
to sit down.
Did you get to have some of the cake?
Nope.
What?
Not yet.
Not
'cause
yet? Okay.
They did like speeches, ceremonies, stuff like that for like another 2 hours.
What?
It seemed. And then once they finished that, it took about 30 minutes to get the food ready.
Oh, okay.
And then we finally got to eat after that. But besides that, it was
It's a long
freezing.
time. Oh, it was cold in there?
Yeah,
Was it like in an auditorium?
almost.
Almost? Okay.
Except a bit smaller.
Oh, okay, gotcha. But you
So-
can hear your brother yelling in the background, can't you?
Yep.
Yeah.
He's like a miniature hurricane.
Yeah. Well, which one of the kids do you think is most wild?
Probably him.
Probably Julian.
Yeah.
Yeah. You want me to fix that mic for you?
No, it's okay.
It's
Got
okay?
it.
All right. So just make sure you talk into it like this.
Okay.
Oh, there you go. Now it's better.
Okay.
Okay. So your brother and sister, what's your favorite thing about Allison?
The fact that she's getting older, she doesn't attempt to kill me as often.
So the killing sprees are down, is what you're saying right now.
Yes, the killing risks are going down.
That's
And
your
they're going to
favorite
go down with my little brother, too, because he's turning 4 in like 7 more days.
thing. Okay. Well, do you have another favorite thing about Owen? Julian?
When he's in a good mood, it's very good.
Yeah.
Very good indeed.
Yeah. You guys have a lot of fun together,
But
don't
when
you?
he gets mad, it's like a hurricane just blew through the house. And it has large, dangerous plastic fire trucks in it. And Legos and
Things flying everywhere.
yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Well, not flying everywhere, but they all seem to be flying straight at you.
Yeah, I'm
So-
sure. Yeah.
And he screams his head off every now and then.
He's got a lot of deep vocals, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Oh, man,
High pitched.
high pitch. Yeah, exactly. He can
once
yell for
screams-
days.
He once screamed for so loud that my dad put him outside.
Oh my gosh. Well, what's one of the? Do you have any funny stories from you and Julian hanging out?
Yeah. In fact, this one is like hilarious.
Shoot, what you got?
I didn't witness the first one, but I did witness the next few.
Okay.
So what he did is he already did it yesterday, but I hadn't noticed. So I went downstairs and his pants were down, okay?
Okay.
And he was trying on my dad's underwear.
What?
It was just the weirdest thing.
That is hilarious. He wants to wear the big boy britches, huh?
Yeah, and he's like, I'm just trying on new undie.
Oh, here he comes right now. You can hear him knocking at the door.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Owen, we're gonna get you back on the podcast soon. I think everyone's kind of ready to
Okay.
go get some dinner, huh?
Well, I thought you were going to ask me about camps I'm going to do this summer.
You want to talk about that?
Sure.
All right. Well, tell us about the camps then. We're not gonna go yet. We're gonna talk about some camps first.
Okay. So, first of all, I'm gonna do Twilight Camp.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a camp for scouts. And
Where's that at?
I forgot.
Is it here locally though?
Yeah, it's in Houston.
Okay.
Cool. Oh, just out of Houston.
Okay.
And it's not an overnight camp. It's a half day. It's afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm gonna do is in the mornings I'm gonna go to baseball practice. They're half day.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the evenings I'm gonna go to Twilight Camp.
So what's at Twilight Camp? What's the purpose of that camp?
Well, it's just for scouts. What they do is every now and then they'll do kickball. They have an activity spot where you can do activities. And they have an archery place.
Have you ever shot a bow and arrow?
Of course, like thousands of times.
Thousands of times. Wow, look at you.
Thousands. And then they have a BB gun range.
What you're good at. I saw you shoot the other day. Dead on.
Yeah, I have a target upstairs in my room. Like if this is my desk.
Mm-hmm.
On this side, there's a target.
I saw that. Yeah.
That was my target at a camp, not Twilight Camp.
But one of the camps like it.
It was called Beauvais.
Oh, okay. Good job.
And it's a campsite, but yeah. And I have the target from my first time there. So, yeah.
Well, it's pretty impressive.
And I also got 2 badges and 1 pin for my shooting.
Okay.
Because I hit the bullseye twice.
Well, that's why you got the 2 badges?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, what other camps you got?
I'm gonna do Invention Camp.
Invention Camp?
Yeah.
Man.
It's a camp where kids can go and invent their own things.
You have anything in mind that you want to do this year?
Whatever they want to do.
Oh, okay.
So what I did is I made something. It's like a float that has an anchor to it.
Okay.
It's meant for ocean use. So if your plane goes down over the ocean, you can use that. And it has like a box. It's big, like almost as big as a dinner table.
Okay.
Well, I'd say as big as I'd say about a TV.
Yeah. So it's like a big screen TV?
Yeah,
Okay.
almost that big. And one side, like about 3/4 of the way, it's thin.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say about 4 or 5 inches apart.
Okay.
And the rest of the way, like if this is one side and this part is thin, this part is thick. Right here at the end. And that's a box at the end. And it has like rations, like food.
Rations, right?
Rations, stuff like that. And
Wow.
also has an anchor if you need to stop.
Okay. Yeah, that's
and
important.
It has a very small motor attached to it.
Did you make the motor?
Yeah.
What?
Well, it's not a motor. Like, we didn't actually make the thing. We just made models of them.
Oh, gotcha. That's a pretty neat camp, though. That's got to be a lot of fun.
And I came up with the idea, you know how you have those small batteries and you put LEDs on them and they can do that? Well, I came up with the idea of taping only one stick on the LED to the correct side. And so you could press the other side down on the battery and the LED would light up.
All right.
So it wouldn't have to be on all the time.
That's a good idea, Owen.
I came up with that idea.
Oh, well we're going to patent it, right?
I have a feeling someone's done that before.
But you thought of it.
Rediscovered it.
Okay, rediscovered. That's good. So what he's talking about is he has the connections not touching on both sides, just one side, and whenever he wants to connect it, he can, and the LED will light up, right? So he completes the circuit whenever you want to, instead of it always being on. That's a good idea. All right. What other camps you got?
Well, my mom made me go along to gymnastics with my little sister. I hate that place.
You do?
Yeah. The only thing I like about it is the tumble mat. They have like this long trampoline. You can do flips across it, and then they have a pit at the end. You can do a cartwheel or flip into that.
Okay.
So.
Neat. Do you think I'd be allowed to go there and do some trampoline stuff?
Kids only.
Kids only. Oh, you guys have all the fun. I know.
Well, another camp I might go to is, let's see. I don't remember its name. No, it's, oh, I forgot what it was. Well,
That's all right. So the big things this summer are your camps, is what you're saying. That's what you're most excited for.
yeah.
All right. Well, I think we better get in there and try to round up the family and go get something to eat. What do you say?
Sure.
All right. What do you got? Anything else you want the listeners to say? Or say? You got anything you want the listeners to hear? Anything you want to say to them?
No.
You have nothing to say to them?
Well, sure. I have something for them to say.
Okay, shoot.
For them to hear.
Go.
The guy that's broadcasting this is an old man. But he thinks he's 32 years old. Don't let him know.
All right, Owen. Thank you very much for coming on the podcast. I love you.
Love you.
All right. Thank you, guys. Everyone have a great week.